Well, got the bike up. My buddy Aaron supplied me with a 4x4. Ran across the rails of the trailer, strapped her solid. Got the front end strapped down so it can't tilt back. Yeah, here's we can get a better view of the damage and stuff here now to the swing arm. We got the brake here, which is pretty bad, and then the brake and it tearing apart in behind here. So yeah, when I undo this pivot bolt here, this whole piece of the swing arm is just gonna like drop right out of there. But I've got them two pivot bolts and the upper shock bolt, and then the whole back end will pull right out. Well, and I'm gonna pull the caliper off the brake. That way I don't gotta mess around with bleeding the brakes and not redoing everything that way afterwards. Okay, back to work. Okay, first section of the swing arms out. Loose, we'll call it the loose piece. It's looking kind of rough, that's for sure. Like where the brake itself happened here. Bolts came out, like loosened off and came out nice. Got the brake line loose. I gotta take the caliper right off. I think that's these bolts here. I gotta check things out. Be sure. Yeah, so far so good. Gonna take this pivot bolt here out next. Get that piece out of the way. Okay, one more step done. I got the brake caliper off. Got it tied up here against the frame so it's out of the way. Lots of room around the cable. I gotta take this breather tube off so it's out of the way. But I'm done for the day. Soaked all the rest of the bolts. I've got the 4 bolts there for the differential, the 2 pivot bolts for the swing arm, and then the upper bolt back in there for the shock. And then the whole back end will be out. I'm gonna start with tomorrow when I get back at it with getting this piece out of the way, like unbolted and out, and then disconnect the breather tube and get the differential unbolted so I can take the whole back axle system right off there. Well, that and the shock bolt. I guess them 4 and the shock bolt, yeah. I think I better undo the shock bolt first. Then I'll unbolt the differential. I can just slide that whole system out of there. Okay, dinner time. Well, the rest of the swing arms out. That part all came out pretty easy. Lots of tools out. The joys of living next to the base. Okay, so we got her all out. We did a dismantle to or disconnect on the bottom end of the shock. Jeremy and I tried the top bolt and we couldn't get the top bolt free. Got the nut off, couldn't get the bolt to tap out. It was pretty easy getting the pivot bolts out. They came out pretty nice. And all the other bolts, like for the differential to the drive shaft or the swing arm, worked good. Sorry for all the kids yelling in the background. They're a bunch of little brats. We all were. But yeah, everything's good. Just gotta wait for the new part. Made it over and ordered my swing arm. And brand new bushings for at the pivot points. So now it's just a matter of sit and wait. This will be going in the house, getting all cleaned up good. Okay, so far so good, everyone. We'll start today. We've got our gasket seal, big old tube of lithium grease, butter knife for getting it out of the tube, and brand new swing arm. Just picked it up like an hour ago from the Yamaha dealer. Everything looks amazing on it, except for one thing, and I'm going to make sure I point this out right off the bat to anyone doing this job. Here's my new bushings, got with it, 20 bucks a piece. Ouch. Okay, as you can see, there's the holes in the top here. Now, some of these are meant as spots to mount rubber guides for your brake line, which also goes through these two guides, here and here. And the breather tube that comes from your differential and around and up to the bike. We'll go over, ignore the condition of the flower bed, it's pretty rough. That hanging down line right there, that's my breather tube from the differential. Here's everything all cleaned up the best I can. Got my brake caliper zip tied up here to the frame out of the way. Gotta grease the supreme hell out of everything. I'm gonna pack a bunch in around that, on that U-joint. I got my bottom mount here for the shock. It'll get some when I go to put the swing arm in place. I will be packing some grease in when I put the bolts through for the pivot points. But yeah, that's what them holes in the swing arm are for. Now, as you can see, these are all in the top of the swing arm. And here's where Yamaha screwed up bad. All these holes can allow water in. We have one here. There is not a single drainage hole anywhere in the bottom of this swing arm. And they wonder why they rot out on everyone. There is zero drainage in the bottom of these things. So unless you plug every one of these holes in the top, that's going to rot out. Mine busted here, right ahead of where the reinforcement is for the curve. And this whole section right here, everything right here, is torn to pieces from it rotting from the inside. Me and the guy at the bike shop just had a brief discussion about this today. This is going to get more and more common as these bikes get older. All these swing arms rotting out because Yamaha screwed up their design. Okay, so already pointed out where work starts today was getting the grease, start getting the grease packed in. I got to get these bushings in. A nice big C-clamp will work great for doing that. I'm going to have to borrow one from John. JP's got all the cool tools like that. Luckily, he's only 2 doors over. This is the advantage to doing this in town instead of on the side of the trail. But yeah, got to get grease packed in them. Get that U-joint at the engine end, which will be this end. Get some grease on it. Gonna put a bunch of grease inside here to help out with around the swing arm or the drive shaft. And then we'll go from there. The stuff on the bike greased up that I need to. Now we're gonna gotta get the bushings in. Definitely pack a bunch of grease. I'm using lithium grease. It's just an all-purpose lithium grease. There we go. But I'm gonna have to go over, like I said, grab a C-clamp from John. But this is definitely the prep you want to do. You want to pack some grease into the first groove going in. And these bushings, as you can sort of see here, one end is bigger than the other. So it makes it pretty easy to decide which end to start pushing in. So yeah, I'm gonna go grab my C-clamp and got the grease ready so I can add more when I need to into this groove. As it goes in, you want to put some grease inside like just a thin layer of grease inside the tube part where the bushing's going into. And we'll go from there. Okay, I think that's kind of lined up for view. Quick and easy way. Well, we'll call it the easy way. It definitely ain't quick. How to put in bushings. Holy crap. Get in there. We're all greased up. Get in there. Big old bench vise would be great for this.
Yeah. Alright, have fun, man.
Yeah. Ooh, this is going to take a bit. Okay, we'll pause the video until you get the idea anyway. Bushings are in. It took some work, and well, I kind of got to buy John a new C-clamp. I don't know if it'll show very easily on here, but yeah, I warped that thing good, and it didn't even finish the job. What I ended up doing is I took one of the pivot bolts, ran it through, like once the bushing was in far enough. I took this flat washer, big heavy duty one, that happens to be the size of the tubing, and tightened it down until it pushed the bushing farther in. And then when it got too far that I needed extra gap there, I used one of my old axle wrenches. Lots of us have these things from the tool kits. This one's actually even a Yamaha. It's from a touring bike I had, and when it got too far for that, doubled it up, and then the washer, and that gave me the gap I needed to be able to get the bushing all the way in. And then repeat with the other side, and done, ready for install. So next will be getting it in the bike. So far not too bad. I can't say so far so good, because well, this was a pain. When it broke, the whole swing arm tilted like that, like this section of it, and kind of deformed these two mount plates here, so I had to kind of persuade them back into place. But got everything lined back up the way it should be, put together, got the drive shaft in. This, it may cause you a bit of a issue. What I would recommend would be to put a piece of tape or something over this as you're putting the swing arm on. Put your drive shaft in place first, slide it over the drive shaft. The tape will keep it from sliding out this end on you. But I got her in place, all good to go. Next will be the back axle Oh, it's a little tight, but it does. Yeah, she'll work. It's gonna be good. Lots of grease packed in there. I gotta pack a bunch in around the drive shaft. Get it in there good. A little bit on here. And then get the axle out here and start figuring out how to get it into place. Well, here's where I'm leaving off for the night. Back end completely reinstalled. This wooden box I got here came in handy. I was able to just set the back end up in place. The pivot points were a little bit tricky, but I got them in there. The drive shaft was a little tricky, but it's in there. Definitely, if I'd ever have to do this job again, the drive shaft's going in before the swing arm goes into place. And then yeah, there are 4 bolts here, or 4 on the front of the differential. With fresh gasket goo in there. And a nice brand new bolt on the bottom of the shock. We're all good to go. Tomorrow will be the brakes. We're putting new brake pads in this caliper here. Get it put back in place. Everything's set up. Oh, sorry about the kids in the background. The kids being kids, I guess. And then yeah, then the wheels go on and she comes off. It's 4x4. Okay, all set. Everything's done. We got new diff fluid in. We got brand new brake pads. Got the back brakes mostly set up as much as can be. Zip tied the brake cable to the swing arm here. It's supposed to run through these, but I'm not unhooking it when I don't have to. Maybe at some point, but not right now. And floorboards are good. Got the winch cable untangled and unknotted. We had to cut it to get it unknotted. So I got to buy a small pack of pearls and my ring thing for that. But yeah, should be all set to go. We fired the bike up, put her in gear. She's good to go. Next will be the wheels and she's back on the trails. Well, there she is. Alex is happy, his bike's fixed. He really loves this 4-wheeler. All back together. Just gotta put my back seat on. We gotta do some touch-up work on the brakes. They work, but they're a little light. So we'll get that done. I still gotta do front brake pads in the calipers there, so not so much of a hurry on them. Bleeding them. They actually worked. They just need to be bled. Back with the new pads. Gotta get the touch-up work on that, as I said, and there we are, the new swing arm.